Are you leaving today?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. Going on into the desert.
Gonna get set on fire, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Just for fun. Did you know there are Crescent City bonus chapters?
The what?
There's Crescent City bonus chapters.
Oh yeah, the Ember one.
I haven't read them yet.
Yeah.
Does Ember fuck in it? Whoa.
There's just
breaking news.
Breaking news.
Holy shit. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I guess I don't know what I'm doing.
You know? I mean, I think everyone knows that there is an extra Ember chapter.
I mean, I think we all know she has genitals.
Oh!
She
Never
birthed.
speak of a mother's genitals
She
in front of
birthed.
me. No, it should have fallen off and flown away, like in Dix the Musical, which I did watch last night with Nathan Lane and Megan Mullally and Josh Sharp.
saw ads for that.
We came up with Josh Sharp, and I've been so excited to see it, and it's great. But I mean, Megan Mullally's pussy falls off and it comes back.
I am such a stan. I am such a Megan Mullally stan.
You've got to watch
Obsessed with
Dix
her.
the Musical. You can tell Nathan Lane and Megan Mullally read the script, thought it was so fun, and were like, hell yeah, I want to do this.
Love that.
It's not for everybody. I'll throw that out there, but it certainly was for me.
Where did you watch it?
On, I think, Amazon Prime.
Oh, it's just on Prime.
Yeah, I
thought it
believe
was.
so.
They're still live though, right? They're doing a stage show.
They were in New York, but I don't know if they still are. Dix.
I'll watch a sex scene with her and Nick Offerman.
Oh my God, any second of the day. Last of Us. Don't even. Nick Offerman, I love you, Nick Offerman. Yeah, you can make me some wood anytime.
You know what's really awkward is that there's always a chance we'll meet them at some point and be like, I hope they never listen to our shows, which of course they don't.
If they listen this far deep, though, I mean, they should know how much we are in love with them.
It's true.
So we love you and thank you for listening.
I'm so happy to be back with all of you for this extra special bonus chapter extravaganza.
Is this where you teach me about how I shouldn't take too many caffeine pills?
Oh,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared. You can teach me if you want, but first you got to drug me.
I don't know if I'm the correct person to teach you about drugs, to be honest. I never had a good relationship with them, which is why I don't do them anymore.
Yeah, that is for the best. We kind of get to a point where kind of gotta ease off, I guess.
You got to make a little bit of a choice.
But I'm fine with it, and I love a very special episode. Or maybe we're here to talk about teen drinking.
Ugh, get out of here. Teens are so annoying. I would never.
And they're always drinking.
Never. What kind of weirdos want to hang out with teenagers drinking? Which is what my question is to all the adults that hung out with me while I was drinking as a 15-year-old. What is the matter with you?
Everybody had the parent that would always be around. It's like we literally would do lines in front of this parent. It's like, I am 16 years old. You should have had an issue with this.
At the time, you're like, man, parents fucking sick, bro.
Man, my mom's like always like busy being a mom and like taking care of me and stuff, but your mom
never lets me do hard drugs in front of her.
Yeah, it's like, that sucks. Mom, you're not cool enough.
And then when you get to that age, you're just like, ew.
Can you imagine being this age and just being around teenagers? I'm like, hell no.
Get out. That's
my booze.
I'm square. I am not somebody who like gives little sip to kids or whatever. I'm the one being like, you are too young.
You don't want it.
I'm not cool.
No.
Okay?
I'm not a cool aunt either.
No.
Although I have offered to go get the first tattoo with my niece.
Tattoo and like birth control things.
And she's 18, so it's not like if she was 13, I'm like, I'm taking my 13-year-old niece. Yeah, I'm gonna get a crucifix tattooed on her forehead.
She don't even want it.
Nope. I say the power of Christ compels you, madam. Hopefully that won't happen.
All right, well, let's go to where there's no Christ.
Okay, let's do the bonus chapters, which I loved rereading these back to back because they're just little morsels of delight.
That is kind of how it is, except for the one that we'll discuss is still a teaser for a book we have not yet read upon.
I have been trying. I know that she's been spewing, that little Sarah. Mm-hmm. She's been spewing about how the next book is going to be ACOTAR, but my question, and I don't want to pressure, but the question is when? I know we just got Crescent City. I know that I just read it. I need more. And now I understand from some, because I don't really absorb a lot of people's content. like one person, but now I get it. I'm like, let's hurry it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to rush her, but I want it now.
That's what the consequences are of you being sought after and like enjoyed by many people, is the second you complete this body of 800 pages work and people read it in 3 days and they're like, what else? And it's like, I just spent a year writing this, but okay, I guess I'll go back to the basement.
Yes.
Start clacking away for you monsters.
No smiles for you, Sarah. Only writing for you, Sarah. Even though we know you got that Reese in your bed and we know what happens between the two of you. And it really is. I was talking about this IRL with Natalie, but currently I'm in the second Throne of Glass and it is very funny where it's like, and then they kissed. Ooh, they kissed. They kissed for so long and into the night they kissed.
They kissed and kissed.
And it's because she was like 16 years old when she wrote the first Throne of Glass, but it just there's such a huge difference between reading these chapters and reading Throne of Glass right now.
Yeah.
Just because she was so young and you see how far she's come, but just these chapters.
Wait, did we talk about that? I thought we talked about it on the show last time.
You brought it up and then now I'm really seeing.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry, not more you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
Oh no, now you're mad.
It's gone, and now I'm pissed. I'm sorry, I'm made of shadows, and I don't know if you know this, Natalie.
I'm so sorry.
Sing for me, shadows, sing for me. That's why I did put eyeliner just underneath, because I was like, shadow singer? He's got a little bit of an eyeliner.
I always, in my head, he always has eyeliner on for no reason, because he definitely doesn't put makeup on every day, but he has it.
I feel like there are just some, like specifically men that have like the kind of eyelashes that are so lush that it looks like they have eyeliner
dark.
on.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I imagine Azrael has. And reading that chapter again, it was just like, ooh, I'm foaming.
Yeah.
Not downstairs, upstairs, please. I'm more a Cujo. And I'm having quite the Cujo feelings.
She's
about
got the
Azrael.
rabies.
Oh, baby. Oh, I'm a rabies baby.
Rabies baby.
Let me at him. Let me at him.
Well, okay, so before we get there, I wanted to do them chronologically just so we stay in order.
That makes sense.
Which is what chronological means for everybody out there.
Learning
in
things.
case you didn't know. And so I wanted to start first with Wings and Ember, which is a scene that takes place in a court of wings in ruin. And it was meant to be a teaser for Silver Flame. And the rough overview is essentially it's Cass and Nesta. It's our first view into their private little thoughts.
Yeah, because we didn't know what was going inside of either one of their brains up until this point because we hadn't gotten to the book yet. Mm-hmm. But when did you read these? Did you read these chronologically as you were reading them?
I didn't know it existed at the time.
I know. I'm so sad about it because in rereading them, I was like, man, I would have loved to have read that before Silver Flames.
Same. I would have been foaming. Foaming at the mouth. We've both been rabies babies. So this is part of A Court of Wings and Ruin where Feyre has been integrated into Valaris already. So she's already been shown the City of Starlight.
Yes.
And she's assisting Rizan with convincing the human queens to join the forces with them against Hybern. So we're in Hybern land again. This is before the sisters turn and everything.
Yes.
So again, it would have been really exciting to read if I had seen it. Because it really is a teaser of scenes to come.
Yeah.
Sort of a little teaser preview of the dynamic between these two future protagonists. This is the first we're seeing their internal dialogues. But
it also is where I imagine I would have gotten really excited in between books too to know that like, oh, we're going to follow their brains next, which makes me obviously assume that we're going to be inside of Azrael's brain for the next book.
I hope so. And that is something
inside of his brain as well. This is the pants.
You want to be in his pants brains? You want to be in his balls?
Yeah. I want to be the baby.
Let me be the baby.
Be the baby sperms inside of there.
Ugh, that has got to be some weird niche fetish. I'm sure that
has
exists.
to be a kink.
Hopefully not Azrael's. We'll see.
We're not going to find out for at least another year.
Yeah, God. We'll see, too, because in this preview, and we'll talk about this when we get to that chapter, but this preview, we see both Nesta and Cass's POVs. In Azrael's, it's just him. We don't see anybody else's POV.
Intriguing.
Which is very interesting. So
But then, sorry, we'll talk about it when we get to the chapter.
Yeah, let's wait.
I got so much to say.
So this scene that we're about to go over, this bonus chapter, it follows the time period after Feyre and the Inner Circle have come to the Archeron's estate and seen the sisters as humans.
Yeah, and so they're still humans, not turned yet.
But they're rich. This is when they're living in their big fancy house.
When Elaine is still betrothed to what's-his-fuck.
Sporo Snora, whatever his name is. And they
Thomas?
That's Tomas's Nesta's artist. Yeah.
That's...
Okay.
I think
Are you imploding?
Yes, I'm
too
imploding.
Many sex thoughts at once?
It's too. I'm having so many thoughts. Yeah, that my wires are getting crossed.
So this is that point whenever they're still they're at the manor. They're a human, and they have had their first meeting. They have agreed to be the place where they will facilitate meetings with the human queens because they need the human queens' help to try to beat Highburn. Papa Archeron is already mysteriously missing through all those scenes. We don't know where he is until later, do we?
He's gone boating.
He's hanging out with a bunch of other young women who think he's really cool. And Nesta's not happy about it. But she doesn't know that yet.
She don't like Daddy right now.
On the Bloomsbury website, which is where it's free to be, it's listed now there. It's listed as a deleted chapter, but apparently the scene appeared in the first run of books produced by Target.
I wonder why she pulled it.
I don't know why that one specifically, but I didn't know until I was doing this episode that big box stores have come up with this diabolical plan where they each have their own exclusive chapter available to their store only. So I just had clipped over in my notes. There's 5 different Crescent City bonus chapters, and they're each from different stores. So there's like one at Barnes & Noble.
I know that you don't know a lot about like corporate law, or so I don't even know if that's a section of law. How are they allowed to do it?
I imagine
honestly, if they did it at places like the Ripped Bodice, which is in LA and Brooklyn, like if the Ripped Bodice had like a specific chapter, that would be fucking awesome. You know, it's like that. Do independent bookstores.
I assume. Well, see, there is one. If you see in the middle, there's all of these bookstores, and then the independent bookstores have their own specific bonus chapter for Crescent City.
It should be that it's all independent.
I mean, I agree, but I imagine that's really out of Sarah's hands. My guess is
guarantee. Oh yeah, that's not her call whatsoever. Yeah. She has no control over that.
So I assume it's the Bloomsbury. I assume is the publisher who would be in charge of. I don't know how books work, guys. How do they work?
I don't know.
How are books made?
But I do feel like the old people whose ideas that this is, they're like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, they're gonna buy books from all the different places. No, you Fs. I'm going to wait for other people to do that and for them to upload those chapters onto Reddit. And that is how I read the chapters.
Of course. And also, I mean, they immediately go up. The second that the bonus chapters are released, they go up online.
Yes.
Like, within seconds.
But I'm not against the idea of like, definitely, I always buy the hard copy of the book. Every time these damn books come out, I buy the hard copy, I get the audiobook as well as the Kindle version so that I can read it in multiple different ways.
Yeah, definitely. I assume also that there's like the lure of having a special edition book because maybe it's only like the first few runs.
For sure. Yes.
So I guess there's like that aspect. But yes, it's about making money. It is definitely about making money.
Yeah.
So that's something I didn't realize, but those fucks, that's diabolical of them to do. But I am glad they at least have an indie bookstore exclusive, which I haven't read yet for Crescent City. So anyway, the first scene is several weeks after the Inner Circle first meets the family. So this bonus chapter is really just one scene, but it starts out in the exterior of the manor with Cassian.
And you really got to go like back in time in your brain. I was like, all right, where are we? Where is their relationship right now? And their relationship right now is none.
Yeah, well, they have already basically
kind of met.
They've met. They clashed. Because if you recall, they came to have the meal together to try to convince the sisters to help them. And if you recall, like, Nesta, like, tersely invites them to, like, a silent dinner, and they're all just, like, staring uncomfortably.
It's almost like it's enemies to lovers or something.
What?
What?
So, yeah, Cassian and Nesta immediately needle into one another, almost suspiciously so. Cassian irritates her with his bedroom eyes and swagger, and Nesta irritates him with her snobbish attitude. And he notably calls her out at that dinner or that lunch for forcing Feyre into the woods to feed her, which is a big, like, that is him. She is very scary and intimidating to people. And he just straight up says, you were a coward for doing that.
Him in this chapter, which is crazy because, like, we've got great sex scenes with Cassian, obviously. We know him biblically inside of our brain. But this chapter makes me lust for him so desperately. Between the way he acts about calling her out about what she did with Feyre, as well as how he reacts when he finds out what has happened to her.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
That action, the way he reacts to that. Oh!
Hey, you're dressed as Az right now. You cannot be doing this.
I mean, I'll watch it.
I mean, there's lots of fanfic, but we're not in that world. We're in the proper story.
I'm foaming.
Not your rabies, baby.
I'm sorry.
So, it sounds like, at the surface, sounds like they hate each other, except Cassian just can't seem to get her out of his head.
I wonder why.
This is a few weeks after this dinner where he's been, like, instructed by Rizan to return a letter. So to bring a letter to Nesta to give to the queens and also get, like, intel. And there's a chance, he's thinking about it at the top of this chapter, and it's partly because he's used to women/females falling at his feet. And Nesta couldn't care less. Yeah, right. But, like, that's what he thinks at the moment.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking.
And there's something in the way she moves.
Ooh.
Did you ever watch the video for that?
No.
It's really weird. It's just like a home video of them, the Beatles frolicking around with their girlfriends.
If that's the kind of content the Beatles wanted to make, let it be.
Wow, get out!
Yes. Don't you come here for the Beatles humor? Do they have 6 legs?
I think for a lot of my childhood, I didn't understand that Beatles wasn't spelled that way. And they messed me up.
Yeah, no. They certainly, I think they messed up. I would dare say multiple generations that didn't know that Beatle was spelled inappropriately.
Are you happy, Beatles?
Thanks, Paul. And that's the only one we can thank. And Ringo.
Ring John.
Whoa.
Is that
his full name?
John Lennon.
Oh, I thought Ring John was his full name. Oh, I didn't realize they shortened it to Ringo because they already had a John. Ring John?
Ring John, yes. Rim Job. His name was.
That's a difficult name to have.
Yeah. The chapter begins with a Cass POV. One in which he's hesitating on entering the Archeron Manor and has instead been circling overhead for about 10 minutes.
He's gonna run out of gas.
You know, right? He's thinking about how little and how much he wants to lay eyes on Nesta again and is kind of confused by it.
It is kind of funny that this happens multiple times throughout these books when they're like, why do I like being around you? Why do I like your scent? Can I notice every shift in your scent? I don't understand. What could it be? It's like, yeah, you're fucking mates. We all know you're mates. But we don't know your mates at this point.
But sometimes, like with Elaine and Lucian, it's not working right, And also, we'll talk about Az, and I have my thoughts about the Az situation.
I've got my thoughts.
I've
got another bed that you could visit if you are confused.
Are you talking to Az?
Yeah.
Az.
And yeah.
Az is Az.
I will
Az
watch.
on Az.
Oh, I will watch. But not if they're identical twins, because that yucks me out. In my head, they're different genetically made up clones.
Or the thing that Rhys did to Feyre, where he puts her in his own eyes and is like, look how I move in you.
I mean,
that was hot.
It is very hot.
Anyway. All right.
Woo. Sorry, all of these chapters too are just like
they're very
filled with sexual tension.
Yes. So he's thinking about how he's confused by his especially because she is human, so it's not like they could date or something. Nesta clearly wants nothing to do with him on top of that. In his mind, he sees this, though, as a competition, as in who can piss the other off more. Eventually, he rallies and he swoops down to the front door, where it is immediately yanked open by none other. He's using magic to
Surprising that she answered her own door, though, I will say.
Well, we know now, essentially, she knew he was there and she was like waiting for him.
Yes.
So she was waiting for his appearance. And he is using magic in this moment to remain invisible to the human eye, which I don't think is ever addressed again. And I feel like SJM was still learning about Cassian, especially in this chapter. I feel like
she hadn't lived inside of his head yet.
Yeah, I think she's still developing him in a weird way. As Nesta curtly leads him up the stairs and away from prying eyes of the servants, he notes her pale purple dress and tries and fails not to notice her ample bosoms.
Yeah.
Nesta is described as taller and more slender than her sisters, but bedecked with some major yabos.
Yabos. I like the way he does talk about her, where he's just like, yeah, she's thin, but man them titties.
Not that he cares or anything. He doesn't care.
He's not into her at all.
The rest of the chapter takes place in her private chambers that she leads him up to, where he attempts to drop off the latest letter from Rhysand addressed to the queens. And he also simply must stay and try to speak about queens and stuff for a minute. Like, he has to. It's just part of his job.
He's trying to learn how to be a courtier, okay? He doesn't know what he's doing
He can't leave quickly, okay? When they are in her chambers, she snaps that he is 10 minutes late. I do have other duties, you know,
he said with equal quiet, flashing a grin. Like circling the house because he was compiling a list of choice insults to throw her way. Responses to an invented argument, like a complete fool.
Here I was,
Nesta said, a pillar of ice and steel beside the hearth.
Thinking I heard you flapping for around 10 minutes. It must have been a pigeon stuck in one of the chimneys.
But also, if I thought a pigeon was stuck in the chimney, I'd probably do something about it.
I think she's more using it as an insult that you're a pigeon.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think that is what it is, that he's the pigeon. He's a bastard pigeon at that.
He's just a little old street pigeon.
Oh, I love pigeons.
I know. It's not fair.
No. And they're just little trash rats, but there are trash rats.
And they're related to doves.
Oh! And they're always sad.
Are they?
The mourning doves are. They go, hoo, 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 Natalie. Okay. Natalie, my eggs. My eggs are hurting me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're so sad.
All right, well, I would feel like that would hurt a lot to come out of my butt.
I know, agree. It's such a small little hole.
They are meant to have a brief discussion and drop the letter off, but for some reason, neither one of them seems able to stay on track.
Oh, I wonder why not?
And they're bickering back and forth. We get a little knowledge of the characters, since at this point we wouldn't have known anything about their thoughts and feelings. There, of course, isn't much revealed because it's not supposed to be like a full revelation on them, but it does tease you into like being like, oh, okay.
Tell me more.
Where's the book?
Yes.
But the chapter does volley between their POVs, and there is some revelation. Cassian is more fixated on her than she is to him, at least on their superficial thoughts. So Cassian, like he is sort of a big dog, is just like, Nesta,
I like her. I like her, but I don't.
But she, even in her own thoughts, and this is true of her in the books later, even the things she really thinks she can't say. She can't say I'm in love with him, even though she
can't
thinks
process
it.
her emotions.
And so she can't say the stuff in her head, but she does admit he's handsome in her thoughts the first time we hear her. But also dangerous.
Oh, tell me more.
It's not exactly revealed, but it's pretty inferred what she means by that. And that is that it stirs feelings up in her, not that she's afraid he's gonna like hit her or something.
I do also wonder too, at this point, she is human and he is Fae or Illyrian. I wonder if that like he can feel something, but since she can't feel any of that and she's not aware of any kind of extra pull towards him, that like it is a different perspective just because like they're like, obviously Cassian's never felt the mating bond before, so he wouldn't know what that feels like, but he does have heightened senses, so he would notice that something is different in a way that a human wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know?
Not to bellify her, but She's just a little bit different.
She's just not like the other girls.
She does have whatever is going on with Nesta, whatever fate she was supposed to have. She did already show that she was not able to be transfixed.
Right.
And so there is some, yeah. So who knows? But yeah, maybe that's possible. He can sense more things.
Right.
But.
And not talking about more, this more. Come on, guys. It never gets old.
Never.
It never gets old. Never.
In the Cass POV, she continues to needle into him until he storms up to her and gets in her personal space, almost as if she knew that would happen if she kept taunting him. Interesting. They have a tense standoff where they're inches apart. Cassian notices that when he's that close to her, her scent makes it so that he can, quote, barely focus.
And it took 5 centuries of training to make himself meet her eyes, rather than let his own roll back into his head, to keep himself poised there, instead of burying his neck in the crook between her neck and shoulder, to keep from moving closer, from touching.
Touching. I want to touch her. He contemplates in his head on whether she's been with a man. In the standoff, we cut to the first Nesta POV, and she's finding this male, quote, dangerous, as we mentioned. But again, it's made clear she's not fearful of him in the sense that she's worried he will hurt her. She's fearful of what he makes her think and feel.
Which also Sarah really gets across in this. Like, there's definitely, like, especially with what she's been through and the trauma she's had, it would make a lot of sense if she was fearful of him, especially him getting in her space.
Yeah.
But I find it such an interesting character choice that she is not fearful of what he would do to her. Mm-hmm. She's fearful of how he makes her feel. And that's so important to the Nesta character.
Totally. And this is at this point, if you had read this before Silver Flame, you would still really not have a lot of insight into what's going on with her and why she is this way.
Right.
But there is a reveal here we're going to talk about in a second, more than I think we had seen up to this point. But so when he gets in her face, she still won't shy away. She, in fact, looks up into his face. And she both flirts and insults him in equal measure, kind of. Like, she would never call it flirting, but she continuously brings up, like, how she would use her own hand on herself or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know. You don't really say that to somebody unless you are expecting them to react to it.
Yes.
So they exchange some biting words about whether she's a virgin or not. And she goes so far as to press her hand into his chest as they're arguing, as though she can't resist touching him. Though, again, she wouldn't even be able to admit that to herself.
She's so closed off.
She's so closed. In this moment of her hating / burning with desire for Cassian, the talk about her virginity has us recalling what Tomas tried to take from her without her offering it. This is actually the first we learn of it, I believe. Everything I checked and looked back on, I don't think if we had not read Silver Flame, I don't think we would have known the Tomas thing.
No, because I did not know this the first time reading through. But the way that it is intimated, it is still there. Obviously, if you had never read this chapter, you still tell, something happened with this dude.
Right.
That was untoward. Because Sarah is just such a good writer.
Yeah.
So that, she didn't really have to say it. And she doesn't even really say it all the way in this because you can tell, again, Nesta does not say what happens to her.
Until later in Silver Flame.
Until later on. And it's because she hasn't really fully dealt with it.
No. It's
I haven't dealt with it at all.
Very traumatic. And we learn later on she practically ripped his ear off getting away.
Yeah, she did.
I mean, which would be empowering, but also deeply traumatizing,
yes.
I imagine.
Yes.
So Cassian, who had up to this point clearly been enjoying this tense closeness with Nesta, he senses that she thought of something terrible because she's not saying these Tomas thoughts. She's just thinking about it. And his face senses can tell someone's hurt her in that moment. His demeanor shifts from lust into rage, and he demands to know who did it. When she refuses and asks why he cares, he realizes that he may have shown his hand a little bit too much, because as soon as she flinches, essentially, he wants to go find the male who hurt her and just like rip his head off, which
sploosh, 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 sploosh. The way just like the darkness comes over his face when he realizes what she's not saying.
Yeah.
I mean, Cassian's, he's my man.
He's your number one, right, on our list?
Yeah. Oh, he's my number one by far. He's my number one.
We put our list of the top 10 people we'd let destroy us, ruin our lives in the LPN newsletter.
Yeah, we certainly did. And Cassian was certainly my number one. Your number one?
It was Reese.
Sorry. Honestly, this works out really well for us.
Right.
This is great for us. I think it makes sense. We're sisters, but also I think it makes sense, too, that we like very different kinds of people.
I mean, sure. Yes, that's also probably a good thing. Because
also,
we'd be stealing each other's man.
Yeah, we would. I say, give me my brother back. I want my brother back. In a different way.
I hope so. I hope.
No, we'd make very interesting children, though.
No.
They wouldn't be like the other children.
They really wouldn't be. They would have to go to a special school, probably.
But yes, Cass wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah, little Cass wears his heart on his sleeve. We know this about him. And this confusing moment, all these negative feelings are washing over her, and she's thinking about all of her perceived failures. And here we learn what is truly simmering beneath the surface of Nesta. Because until now, as the reader, she's been an island, this shard of glass that was pretty to look at, but would slice you open if you tried to get too close.
Ooh, that's good. Whoa, what are you, the writer? All right.
Me. But here's when we learn that she's not actually dead inside, like you could have maybe assumed from some of her behaviors, but the opposite.
She felt it all, too keenly, too sharply. Hated and cared and loved and dreaded, more than other people, she sometimes thought. Could sift between them all in a manner of moments, like she was trying on different sets of clothes, and no one could tell or care. Except him. He could see it, feel it.
Except him.
He's my man, fly me into the skies.
He cuts to the core of her, and that's why he's dangerous.
He's dangerous.
Her carefully cultivated exterior is at risk of being all mussed up and exposed. Through this argument, they're still very close face to face, and as Nesta goes to remove her hand from his chest, he covers her hand with his, keeping it there. He even rubs his thumb across the back of her hand.
His calloused thumb. There's something about every time they talk about his calloused hands, and I'm just like, they're so calloused.
They're so manly.
Because he's got to fight.
The touch is all it takes for Nesta to lose herself for a moment. She tilts her head back, an invitation. We cut back to Cassian's POV in the same moment. He's shook.
Every instinct in his body came roaring to the surface. So violent he had to choke them with a brutal grip, or else he'd find himself on his knees, begging her for a touch, for anything. I thank God I didn't read this and we didn't have another book afterward. Like, I would have flipped out. Oh, well, I say that as much as I flipped out reading the Azrael chapters. So I know what it feels like.
Yeah, no, because you're never going to get full satisfaction from a bonus chapter, especially if it's a teaser for the next thing. You're not getting full penny.
No, but I'll take full beanie.
Full teeny beanie.
Teeny beanie. I don't think we're working with any of that.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. So we get just a moment of what we're all now going to have to wait several hundred pages for. A little bit of touching. Quickly, Nesta comes to her senses,
Get on your knees.
She comes to her senses after he addresses her neck for a while.
Just the offering up the neck did give me Twilight vibes a little bit, because I'm like, what, is he going to feast? But there was no feasting.
No, there's no feast. More sexual than all of Twilight, though, this few moments.
Thank God.
Thank God. So she comes back to her senses very quickly, and they go back to bickering.
Of course. Oh, you're a bastard. Great.
Because the reason she freaks out, essentially, is because sends her into such like a lustful daze that she goes into, she's just like, oh, what did you do?
Well, it's also like a vulnerability too that she's not used to. Even just like offering up her neck to him like that, that is an emotional offering.
It is.
That like, and especially like at that point, she probably doesn't want to know if he wants, like if he wants to kiss her.
Yeah.
You know, it's like almost too much for her to know.
I also really like that line where she asks if he did some sort of fey magic on her, and he's like, nah, there's just me, man.
Just me. Just how awesome I am.
Just Cass.
Oh, I die.
So she goes back to her, like, exterior. The walls go up. She starts insulting him, and he calls her a bitch in that moment, which is a little surprising to me. And I don't think it's like unwarranted at all. But I kind of feel like the Cassian we now know wouldn't
have
use
said
a word
that.
like bitch.
I don't think so either.
And I wonder if this is, again, still SJM just like sorting him out a little bit. And mind you, he doesn't call her a bitch. He just thinks it.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking it's like a bad thing about him, but this is why some of the stuff in the As chapter that people are like upset about, I kind of go like, I think maybe they she pushes it a little, so you're intrigued and being like, what the fuck? Like, are we supposed to like him or not?
Yeah, and also gives us just enough, but doesn't like lift the envelope. You know, it's like just a little bit of peak.
Oh, a little striptease, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
A little ankle.
No, don't. Not right now. Not after reading these 3 chapters. I don't know if we can handle any ankles.
No ankles. They begin to argue, and it gets more angry and slowly harsher. But Cass can't help but seduce her at the same time, even when she goes to knee him in the balls. He dodges it, but just when we think she's going to rush in to kiss him, Cassian included thinks this is about to happen, she's actually foiled his flirtations and crotch block by distraction of kiss. Instead of kissing him, she drives her knee up into his balls.
I feel there's large part of me that I was like, Nesta, not cool. There's like, this interaction is not, I don't think, knee to the balls worthy.
But again, I wonder if that is because we're not supposed to totally have our feelings decided by the chapter. It's like piqued your interest, but like, wait, is she like actually awful?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she hurts him. She like physically hurts him.
Not okay.
No, definitely not. Which I guess also then you can kind of go, well, then I guess he is allowed to call her a bitch in his head.
Oh, yeah, no, I think someone is allowed to be called a bitch if you just need them in the balls.
Yeah.
And they didn't deserve it.
Yeah. So it's interesting, though, as a warrior, trained warrior who's like feared on the battlefield, he was immediately able to be taken down by just distraction of her mouth.
Because he also dropped his defenses around her in the way that like she showed the neck, that like he obviously was dropping some of it.
And he ain't ever seen that on the battlefield before.
No, he certainly has not.
This sort of wraps up the meeting after this moment where she knees him in the balls, and he flies out of the room after Nesta walks away from him without a goodbye, except
Cassian did not circle over the house, but he could feel Nesta's attention as he soared for the wall. Even shielded from sight, he could feel those blue-gray eyes on him. The feeling chased him all the way back to Valaris.
So some great foreshadowing without taking us all the way to, they're going to be in love with each other.
But she watched him leave.
So again, very Nesta move where she is cold and dismissive, but he can see, in whatever sense he has, her staring at him as he leaves.
There's a connection.
And so it's not a full rejection in that way.
Mm-mm.
Other moments of note in this is Nesta revealing Tomas's assault, which we talked about briefly. Cassian also takes a moment to delve into his feelings and thoughts about taking Mor's virginity. Just to himself, though, not to Nesta. He just kind of reflects on that time. And also both Nesta and Cassian separately think about how obvious it is that Rizan is in love with Feyre, and that they are both pretty sure Feyre was in love with him back. But again, at that time, they're not talking about it.
No, and I also think it's such a huge part of Cassian's character to talk about taking Mor's virginity and how he felt about that, even though it was on the inside. And that showed so much about just like, you know, what he would do for friends and loved ones and what kind of loyalty he has.
And we know he ain't no dog.
No. He's my little chicken man.
He's a consent king.
Yeah, put him in the little chicken hen hut.
He had never left a woman without her being pleased before. He simply had to go back.
Okay.
So next in chronological order, we have the Feyre Rhys bonus chapter, which appeared in the Barnes & Noble exclusive release of A Court of Silver Flame.
Thanks, Barnes & Noble. Did you write it yourself?
Yeah, really.
Dada.
Why do you get it?
Yeah.
It takes place mid-Silver Flames, so it's not actually a teaser of any kind.
Man, if they did that chapter shit back when I was like upset, like as Harry Potter was coming out, when I was obsessed with it in my teens, I would have gone to every single bookstore to buy every single book.
Definitely. Especially because it wouldn't have been as easy to find online.
No,
at the time.
because it wouldn't have been the same. Like they wouldn't just say, I didn't have a Reddit to go to find out that information. I would have just been like, Mom, I have to buy the extra copy. I have to know.
I'm sure your mom would have been, mothers across the world would have been thrilled.
Honestly, my mom always, and I think this is a beautiful rule that like whenever, if we could afford it, like if we wanted a book, always. Books we never said no, she never said no to. That and like we would always, she's like, okay, you want that book? We would go check the library, see if it was available at the library. If it wasn't, she would go get the book for me. She's like, I will always encourage you to read.
That's great.
No matter what, I always want 100% you to read.
No matter what scam the bookstore is pulling, I'll pay for it.
No matter if it is just smut that now you read alongside your mother.
Listen, I am glad to say that we weren't. I support teens reading this on their own. I think it's really good for young teens to read on and explore this. But I'm glad that we weren't teens when this came out, and I would have to like discuss it with our parents. Like, I don't want my mom just started reading them, and I told her expressly, you cannot talk to me about the sex scenes. We do not have that relationship.
No.
And I am glad that this didn't come out when I was a kid.
No, my mom just started reading Crescent. I got Crescent City, the first two for my mom for Christmas so that I could get her the third one coming out. But again, we don't talk. Well, I'll talk about all the plot.
Yeah, like Silver Flames, you talk about Valkyrie stuff, like
which is
all
fun.
That.
Like it's like that. There's so much else to talk about.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm thinking about.
You know what I'm thinking about.
Mommy, do you know what I'm thinking about? No, you don't, because I don't talk about this in front of you. And maybe you listen to the show, but not in my brain.
No, Mom's allowed. So whether or not this was just an agreement to Barnes & Noble, it's not a teaser, but they must have signed a contract for an exclusive chapter because it's not pushing the story ahead at all. It's just a nice little moment in time. It's like a delightful little be with Feyre once again in first person, because at this point when this came out, this is Silver Flames, where there's a lot of feelings of like, oh, we're not with Feyre anymore. Now we're not in her head. And so
a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. And so this is a little teaser going back to the first person POV with Feyre. The scene occurs right after the meeting the Inner Circle had with Nesta and Silver Flames about the Dread Trove and how Nesta would need to go out. And this is when she learns Feyre's pregnant. Mm-hmm. They all learn Feyre's pregnant in this scene. So this bonus chapter occurs right after that meeting ends, and we see the aftermath with Rhys and Feyre alone at the river house. It's not necessarily, again, important to the movement of the plot, but it's like a little reward, like a little treat.
It honestly, it kind of, especially this chapter, it felt like I was standing in their bedroom behind a curtain, and I was just kind of like looking out the curtain.
Like a little pervert.
Yeah, I felt like a little pervert reading this scene because it's such an intimate moment between the two of them that I felt like I was spying on them. Maybe I am a shadow singer.
Oh my God, you are a shadow singer.
Come to me.
Hopefully Ass isn't just in the rooms all the time, just peering out of a curtain.
I mean, he can watch me whenever he wants.
With consent.
With consent. He's a spy master. He has to watch out.
Yeah, but you know he isn't peering in on their like nude scenes and stuff.
No, he's such a good
He's respectful.
male. Yes.
So this is this little treat we get, and it's like there's little sections in it. It's right after this meeting, but also there's a moment where Feyre is remembering the exact moment she and Rhys had learned that she had caught pregnant. And so she's in
caught
this
pregnant. Oh God, there's a baby in me.
That's how I feel.
I like it.
So this is happening right then, but she's having a flashback in the actual bonus chapter, and it was in the painting studio. He comes in and he can tell by her scent that she's changed in some way. So Reese actually reveals that she's pregnant. And it's a beautiful scene where they, they cry and laugh together and then they bang in the painting studio.
Gots to. The second those kids leave, it's like the
kids are gone. The kids are gone. Just so we're all clear.
But we don't see a lot because, like, I honestly, until reading this chapter, I kind of forgot that she was teaching kids how to paint. And I was like, oh, yeah, there's that whole sidebar area where she's teaching kids how to paint, which definitely gives me, like, the vibe of, like, like a Kate Middleton almost, where it's like, you know what I'm going to do with all my time? Ugh. I'm going to help the children. Like, okay, I guess that's nice.
At least let her be Megan.
No. She's Kate Middleton. She's going to show up after being gone, and she's going to have a BBL. And everyone's going to know because Kate Middleton, you're going to show up, you're going to have a huge ass.
Is that what the newest theory is?
There's so many theories.
Oh, there's so many. Most of them are really dumb.
No, she actually has been seen today, but I like the BBL theory. That and also MJ is of the belief that there's also a conspiracy theory that Kate Middleton is trying to grow out her bangs. So that's another theory that they
couldn't do just magic with like some extensions, and she has to hide from society.
Gotta hide, man. That's at least 6 weeks of hiding.
I guess I can't ever grow my bangs out.
I had to grow out my eyebrows, and I did it during quarantine. That's the time to do it. Just wait until another global influenza.
Yeah, global tragedy. That's when you get your hair changed.
Yes.
Man, it would be pretty fun if she just came back with like
huge
double X tits.
It's just like on the floor.
No mention of it, like just acting like everything's the same.
That's what I want to see.
In my dreams.
Now there's nothing different. He just looks like a Muppet falling over because her tits are so big. She weebles and she wobbles and she does fall down.
Come on, royal court, royal family, give us this
for us.
So she has this flashback, and then we also get a little smut in this bonus chapter as Feyre notes that she has become extra hungry since the pregnancy. Which I ain't never going to be mad at for some extra smut chapter.
No, I accept it, but still, I'm hungry for you, baby's daddy.
Ugh.
It's like, no, you're just hungry. Go eat a sandwich.
So basically, she's saying that she has to, like, she's, like, so ravished for Rizan all day, every day that she has to, like, control herself. And so, I don't think Race is, like, super mad about it.
No, I don't think so.
And so there's a little, as they're sitting in the office after this meeting occurred, they have a little together scene on the couch there. And we also just get to revel in this moment of happiness and intimacy between the couple we love so much, Reese has a terrible secret at the moment, but he still is filled with like happiness and joy, even though his wife's probably gonna die or whatever.
Yeah, but like he's not dealing with that yet. And man, there's nothing I love to do more than just like coming real hard and then talking about baby names.
Oh, my fave.
Oh, it's just like, I lust.
I tried to love and support and respect SJM's love of children and family and stuff like that. And it is actually helpful to me because it's so foreign to me. It's nice to see it in a healthy way.
Yes.
Because that is not a thing that's ever crossed my mind in my life. So I think it's nice, a little different. I think it's really cool to see a sexually active, happy couple also excited about their baby together. Is that weird?
Oh, yeah.
But it also is... It's
and
weird.
We don't get to see it very often, or at least especially these like intimate moments for like this is it's such a beautiful little scene.
It really is. It's just also nice to just have it because it's you were done with Feyre's story and you're like, oh, you're back.
And we also never got the like them coming up with the name of the baby,
which again is something I wonder if this might be one thing that shows back up later that we don't understand yet. That. As they're talking about names, it's Rizan who suggests the name Nyx from a book he pulls from a shelf. And it's a reference to a forgotten ancient night goddess who he notes was prevalent around the time the Trove was created, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, but we don't know a lot about Nyx yet, but I imagine that's going to come back in the future.
I imagine. The other moment of note I would say is when she teases him about naming the baby something ridiculous. she almost says Rhys's family name, and he stops her. So that's very interesting. So it's like we're about to learn what Rhys's last name was in reference to ridiculous name.
Yeah.
And then he goes like, let's not talk about it.
Right.
Like, okay, well, that's there for a reason.
Yeah, I see this happening. Don't think this is not getting past me.
We're all peeking in at your sex, so we know what's going on.
Behind the curtains.
Okay, now we're going to the Asriel chapter.
Yes!
This is probably the most intriguing since it's a teaser from something that we have not yet received as a book. And apparently there's a lot of anger towards this chapter.
Pourquoi?
I haven't read the critiques. Again, like I've said before, I try to keep the show really positive. I don't really like doing the like, I'm a fan-amy, where you get to like mock all of it.
Right.
I get all of it, and so it's stupid. I try to stay out of that realm.
Why? That's so you. That totally sounds like you, Natalie, and everybody knows it.
I'm just like, you know. So apparently some people don't like this chapter, and I have a few guesses. I haven't really read through the reasons. As I say, all I'll say is that a teaser chapter, my thought is that it is like we were just saying about Cassian, is supposed to cause intrigue and not do fan service. So I wouldn't just judge Asriel from these pages alone.
No, we haven't lived inside of his brain yet, and we know we're going to in the future, but we're not there yet.
And I do think maybe certain things are exaggerated in order to create like, oh, do I like him or not?
And just think about think about how Cassian was like shown in his chapter versus what we get in the book.
He says the bitch word.
He says the bitch word. My Cassian wouldn't do that.
So, you know, we'll talk about this chapter. I understand he comes across as sort of selfish and entitled to some people to an extent, but I think that could be done purposely. We'll see. We will see. This chapter will take place chronologically the night of solstice Eve, I should say, near the end of Silver Flames. This is the one where Cassian and Nesta really join.
Yeah.
Extra sex.
Yeah.
It's like leveled up sex.
Made love.
They got sex maxed.
Yeah, they did. Turn it up.
And he sleeps over.
Yeah, man.
We're only with Az in this chapter, and like we said, the bonus chapter with Nesta was also a Cass POV, and so this is only Az. I don't know what that means. Maybe nothing. This was a Books A Million exclusive.
Which I can't... Which I love, which was a bookstore I never heard of. I was going to say, I haven't heard, I know of Books A Million.
Oh, really?
But I didn't think it existed anymore.
Oh, really?
So, like, I haven't never heard of a Books A Million, I think, in 20 years.
Did you see them in Florida?
Yeah, they're in Florida.
Oh. Because I was looking at the map, and they're mostly along the path of Mimel. Do you know Mimel?
Mimel?
Did anyone learn Mimel in school, in elementary school?
Is that the chef?
It's the states that are along like sort of the mid-east side. Well, we always learned him as a gnome. But is that a chef for you?
He's got a chef's hat on.
He's got a gnome hat on. And gnome shoes.
It's more, I think he's a chef.
Did you learn that from school?
I learned chef, but I didn't learn Mimel. But Mimel makes sense, and I knew that was Louisiana. I was like, that's the shoe.
That's the shoe.
That's the chef's boot.
The issue with Mimel, though, is there's a bunch of different states with M names and A names and
could
stuff.
Be any of them.
Just that didn't really help me at all.
No.
I'd actually, when I wrote this out, I still had to like look it up because I couldn't remember which ones they were.
It is Mimel, right?
So
a gnome, eh?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yep. That's where all the Books A Millions are. So I guess I just never lived in a state that had them before. Anyway, that's who got the chapter.
They got the Asriel chapter, though.
I wonder if they like had to do bids. Do you think the different companies had to fight for the most like intriguing chapter?
They must have, right? Like, how do you choose? Like, you know who's gonna get this? Books A Million. Because like only in the middle of the country they're gonna get this.
Yeah, because the Books A Million is the teaser for the next book, whereas the Barnes and Noble one didn't. It was just a sex scene.
I don't know. I have no idea.
All you
publishers,
bookstore CEOs who listen to this show,
explain it to us,
you
please.
Sickos, you sick fucks.
You just want all the money. Give us the content. Give us the fucks.
But anyway, So the solstice party is wrapping up in this bonus chapter, and most people have left the river house or have gone up to bed at this point in the evening. There's a lot to unpack in this brief chapter.
Oh, yeah.
It starts with a really sweet dive into Cassian and Az's friendship through Az's POV. And Az recalls how Cassian was calling his gift to Nesta that night a secret plan that would, quote, secure his impending victory, which I guess would be Nesta admitting she was in love with him.
They're just cute.
Very cute. And it worked.
Yes.
Az feels very happy for him, but then he reveals that he's also been planning his own sort of victory tonight. That there have been allusions a lot of us have already picked up on throughout the last 4 books that Elaine and Azriel have some sort of vibe going between them. Some kind of energy.
Oh, but it's not a mate kind of energy.
Not that we know of. It could be, but we've just gotten little tiny hints of weird glances and weird touches and little whispers. And I mean, how could they not have some energy? They're both insanely hot and single and kind of live together in the same house.
Yeah, and
I imagine the tension is palpable.
Yeah, and it's like he's been in love with Moore for so long and like nothing is coming of it. That like to see someone that actually could like him back.
Yeah.
Like that's also got to be a lot to handle. And it's a lot to think about, which I can't wait till we get into it in the next book. But like, I imagine that someone like Elaine would help him really ignite his vulnerability that he's never able to really touch.
Yeah.
Because he can't, because of who he is and what he does.
And he does note, he makes mention of that in this chapter, that she's so like precious in his mind that he hates his hands touching her because he feels like they're evil because he hates himself, you know. Which, of course, I mean, he's a little emo boy.
Yes.
So
I'm not okay.
Oh, he's 100% Gerard Way.
Yes, he is.
That's why he wears eyeliner.
Oh, maybe he's writing graphic novels.
Oh, maybe he is. We also learn in this chapter right at the top that Az's shadows aren't what we might call sentient, but they seem to have some form of consciousness, even if it's just a projection of Az himself. They sort of whisper to him and tell him things. We learn that Az hasn't been able to sleep for a long while.
Too many wants and needs left his skin overheated and pulling taut across his bones.
Oh yeah, what kind of needs do you have there, Az?
Yeah, why is it so tight around your bones?
It's boners.
Yeah, it's in his pants.
He also admits he's filled with envy.
How could he not be?
No, I feel him.
I feel this.
It's happiness for Rhys and Cass, but also deep, torturous envy.
Yeah.
He's contemplating going up to bed that night when
soft steps padded from under the stair archway, and there she was. The phthalights gilded Elaine's unbound hair, making her glow like the sun at dawn. She halted, her breath catching in her throat. He watched her swallow. She clutched a small gift in her hands.
I was coming to leave this on your pile of presents. I forgot to give it to you earlier. He knows this to be a lie, that she intentionally left it until after everybody left.
Ooh.
See, he's not merely been lusting after Elaine. She certainly has been a willing participant in this game.
Oh, yeah. She's aware of what's going on here, which kind of impressed, because I wouldn't think that Elaine would ever pick up on something like that.
Well, again, we still just see her as like, I'm a baby lady. I imagine we'll learn she contains multitudes, but we don't know.
Because honestly, and I have to remember, it's like, Jackie, remember where your brain was about Nesta before Court of Silver Flames. And because in my head, I'm like, Dad, she's not. She's just a baby lady. We all know she's a baby lady. And it's like, give her a second. She's probably not a baby lady. But we're going to find out.
I mean, at times it's warranted. She can be very grating.
Yes.
When she's just like, I love to garden. But then we get that little bit of an idea of she's playing a role. Like, she does feel as though she's supposed to be the baby. Like, people want her to be the baby, not the mommy.
Yeah, and if you're treated like that all the time, you kind of fall into that because it's easier in the long run. especially if you like can't process the other things that are going on.
Yeah. So in this scene, they see each other and she approaches him gingerly. And as she reaches out to hand him a gift, he tries to not look at his own hands. He's just like, he hates seeing the scars. Poor guy.
I just want to kiss his scars. I want to tell him that he is loved.
With your mouth.
I just want to take care of him.
He also thinks about how the headache powder that she had gotten him last year still sits on his nightstand, not to use, but simply to look at night.
That's adorable.
He unwraps the gift, and it turns out to be Faye earplugs.
Honestly, very funny for baby lady to give.
It's cute.
Very, very funny.
It's another sort of joke, sort of like the headache powder was.
Yes.
And this time alluding to the fact that everyone knows that Cassian and Nesta are going to be on a fuck mission. Also, that was, if you recall, the last solstice, she got him to laugh because he doesn't do that a lot. He's very reserved. And when she gave him the headache powder, he like busted out laughing, which like already he's probably just like, I love you, Elaine.
Yeah, you made me laugh. You put a smile on my face. Oh my God. The years that I used to date curmudgeons just because I love to make a curmudgeon laugh.
Yeah.
Nothing gives me more joy than making someone that does not want to laugh just burst into laughter and they can't control themselves. I will say that is not an excuse to date said curmudgeons.
No, because
everything else is curmudgeon.
And you deserve to have somebody who's also funny and fun.
But
Yes.
for a while, I definitely barked up those trees because I was just
yeah.
I just want to see you smile. But that's not fair to you, girl.
It's true.
But I mean, curmudgeon does. I love a curmudgeon that melts. I love an ice cream curmudgeon. Yeah.
The little bit of syrup.
Got some nuts.
Some cream. She gives him these earplugs, and it was at least my interpretation that she was referring to the sex, but I guess she could have also been making a joke about how much they fight. Not really sure.
I'm pretty sure it was
I think it was a sex joke, right?
Yeah.
Because that also then is like a mild flirt.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
He tells her he also has a gift for her, but he wasn't sure if he should give it to her. He thinks about how Lucien, her mate, is there that night and how he could barely stand to be in the same room as their mating bond earlier in the evening. He's got it bad for Elaine.
He's got it so bad. And like in my head, as someone that is very anti-cheating in any way, I don't see this as cheating.
No. But I could also...
But I think is that why? Because I haven't read into why people are upset. Like, are people upset for Azriel doing this with Elaine? I know you haven't read it either, but would you assume?
That's not my impression.
Okay.
But I also get why it would be like considered rude, I guess.
Oh, for sure, it's rude.
But also then that sort of objectifies Elaine. Like, shouldn't Elaine be allowed to choose?
And if she's not choosing,
yes. And if she's not choosing Lucien, you know, I get that side. But this is a big moment for the two of them because they've never really been alone together in this way. They like Az has specifically avoided the situation. And so he opens the box for her that he's gotten her and he notes how his shadows disappear at the gasp she elicits, that they always seem to disappear when she's around. The gift is this really pretty sounding necklace. Like, I think I would wear it. It's like a mini stained glass flower that like lights, if you put light behind it, like makes the picture bigger. Oh. And so this is this private, like intimate moment that they've both been sort of like dancing around and trying to not do, but also really wanting to do. And she asks him to like put the necklace on her. So he's fastening it from behind. And when he's doing that, Elaine is facing away. And as he's doing it, she turns into his hand. And now it's her neck. So his hand's on her neck and she's facing him.
It had never gone this far. They'd exchanged looks, the occasional brush of their fingers, but never this. Never blatant, unrestricted touching. Wrong. It was so wrong. He didn't care.
Woo-hoo.
Oh, he didn't care. It was so wrong. Oh, God. But sometimes you gotta be wrong. Right.
You know, I'm never in that like, this is fun in this capacity. I'm never in that mindset of like with the cheating thing, like that's not sexy to me where you're like, it's so wrong. That just makes me stressed out.
Yeah, no, it makes me very upset and very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So like there's just, I like the idea of it being wrong. Like I think that is fun, like a fun thing to play around with, but I don't actually want it to be wrong.
Wrong in the sense of like colleagues or like something more like this, like a fantasy story, but like not. A lot of times people use that as a reference to having an affair or something. And I'm just like, that's I don't think sexy. That's sexy.
No, I'm not lustful for a cheat. In fact, when I see like a lustful scene in a movie about cheating, I'm just like, not for me.
Yeah,
I'm not. And like, you know that I love to be horny, and that it just doesn't do it for me.
I know. It's boo.
Maybe I'm too obsessed with my husband. Maybe, but that's fine.
It's okay to be obsessed with your husband.
Thank you.
So in this moment, as his hand is on her neck, his thoughts turn filthy. In his head, he lists all the things he wants to do to her and with her. He worries that she'll sense the shift of his scent or look down.
Tight pants. He had only allowed himself these thoughts in the dead of night. Look at me, Natalie.
No.
Had only allowed his hand, Natalie, to fist his cock and think about her. Then, Natalie, I'm your sister. I'm sitting next to you. When even his shadows had gone to sleep. How that beautiful face might appear as he entered her. I'm looking at you, Natalie.
No.
What sounds she'd make.
Stop looking at me.
I love how much Azriel has been jerking off and thinking about Elaine. He has been fisting that cock over and over and over again.
Just looking at that headache powder.
Oh, man. Thinking about her.
Coming inside the headache powder. It's like now it's just a brick.
Oh, yeah. Rubbing the cum powder all over his face. Just being like, it's like she's here. But she's not.
They both agree, as they're both in this moment, he's like losing his mind. They both agree they should be going to bed, but then he senses her arousal.
Oh, God.
And he almost keels over. In fact, he said he'd, quote, beg on his knees for a taste of it. And SJM has officially declared that Azriel is a freak.
He freaky.
In a good way, of course.
Riding my pony.
So we've discussed it before, but I'm going to guess some sub stuff. I think he's sub a little bit.
Great.
Yeah. And I mean, I would watch an Elaine as the Dom.
Great. Woo! Love it. Please, I hope that there is I feel like that there's so much in the Dom sub world where people think that they can meet someone just in their day-to-day and be like, you're a Dom or you're a sub. It's like, you don't know what happens in someone's bedroom. You can't always call out somebody's kinks.
Yes, and I don't mean to dub sub-Dom assume about the fairies.
No, but I would say, I think that it would be awesome that, like, in this case, that, like, if that's what SJM did showcase, was that, like, Elaine being the Dom and Az being the sub, when it's not always just like, oh, you're more confident and, like, you hold the reins in real life. It's like, that doesn't always matter.
Right. I really, and I don't even necessarily think it's going to go, like, hardcore, but I can
we know we freak it.
Like, he wants to beg on his knees a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Am I out of line here?
And I imagine, oh God, and then if it's with Elaine too, like it would be a lot of like her having to like get used to it and like feel so much, but have to trust him so much. And if there's one person I'm sure you can trust, it is Azriel.
Ugh.
Because he don't run his mouth like no Cassian.
All right. I gotta get out of this.
All right. He's fisted his cock.
This is a place of work, and I need to get out of this mindset. Even in this moment of lust, he can't help but be disgusted by his hands. Not just the scarring, but because of all the terrible things he's done by his own measure. He feels this way about himself. That he feels like he's sullying her with the touch. But he can't help himself, and he can't let go. Yes, she says, when he's kind of looking at her and she's giving the permission because there can consent kings in this world. Kings. She says yes. And she wants it to be clear that she wants whatever is about to happen.
Offer and permission. He nearly groaned with relief and need as he lowered his head towards hers.
Azrael?
That's not
Azrael.
Oh my god, you know how pissed Reese was, dude. Reese is pissed, bro.
He is in trouble.
He's in trouble.
So he's about to lean in to kiss Elaine, and behind Elaine's shoulder, above the stair, at the top of the stairs, Reese appears, and he is pissed.
Ooh.
He looks up and Reese is glaring down at him. He's busted.
Yeah, he's busting in his pants. I'll tell you what.
He's speaking to Azrael's mind, so Elaine is not aware of Reese's presence. And when Azrael pulls back from the kiss suddenly, she had her eyes closed to wait for it. All she sees is Azrael retreating, and she can only interpret this as a rejection.
Oh.
And as much need is coursing through him, he makes himself tell her that this is a mistake. Embarrassed and hurt, Elaine says, "I'm sorry," to him. Flustered, Az tells her not to apologize and then sort of mumbles a goodnight to her. Reese commands Az to his office.
It just makes me so just be like, this has nothing to do with you. No one really wanted to.
He really fumbles the ball here.
Oh, it hurts my chest.
I mean, I think it's fair to say, even though Az he can, what's it called? Score?
Yeah?
He can pull women. He can pull Faye. Like no one else's business, but he's still awky. He's like an awkward dude.
Oh yeah, he's not. I don't think that he's very open with his feelings. He's not a vulnerable dude.
No, so he doesn't know how to say this to Elaine. He instead just runs away. He just winnows away from Elaine.
I gotta go. And then he's just all tight and all hard. He's like,
he has to go talk to his brother boss. I imagine Elaine feels horrible in this moment.
Yeah.
And he wants to go before he can see her face crumble. His shadows, as he winnows over to Reese's office, inform him that she's gone back up to her room. And again, Reese is pissed.
Uh-oh.
Understandably, though I imagine it's quite annoying to be a grown-ass male and have to run your sexual encounters by your brother.
Yeah. But
Reese is incensed.
Although I always call Henry, and every time before I have sex, and I go, Henry, may I have sex?
We really need to talk about how this has to stop.
It's
Jackie.
really difficult, especially middle of the night, you get one of those calls or something. But I need to make sure that my brother boss gives me his consent.
I didn't really want to have this conversation on air. No. But now we can't.
I'm glad you brought it up.
We literally cannot edit it out of the show. So he has to. Reese is incensed that Az would risk so much out of horniness, truly. Lucian is in the house, for one. That alone could cause another war to be waged, as there is an autumn court tradition called the blood duel if a matehood is challenged.
Which I think that, I understand why Reese is so upset. I get it. You're right. He literally could start a war and destroy everything they've been building up, all the alliances they've been building up. It would destroy it just for him to fuck this Faye.
Yes. And he's saying, as you're thinking with your bottom brain.
Yeah,
and you think with your top brain.
Yeah, dude.
Because this would cause chaos. And here's where I think a lot of people get upset. Azrael essentially starts to throw a tantrum. He yells back at Reese that maybe the cauldron was wrong and that he, quote, deserves Elaine. That's how Reese interprets what Azrael is saying, at least.
And again, I understand why people would be upset about that, but you have to remember where his brain was, that he is so
in his pants.
He's thinking in his pants, as well as the envy that, of course, rises to the top. That yes, you shouldn't say you deserve another person, because no one deserves any other person's body.
Right.
But he's so upset. And he was just about to kiss her, and he just got stopped, and he's getting yelled at. There's just so many feelings right now.
Oh, yeah. And I agree. I think that this is a really gross thing to say, but also in the heat of the passion of it and the frustration and the fact that he just was about to blow a load and then he didn't.
And that his brothers have the sisters, and he wants wants to be one of the three.
He does. And also, I do think, again, my theory is that we are supposed to be challenged with whether or not we're supposed to not go like immediately like, yay, everybody, we like everyone. I think it's supposed to be a little bit challenging to us. And so he essentially says, you guys, we're 3 brothers, they're 3 sisters. I get the other one. And which is why I think some people are like, ugh, no. Because it's very bureaucratic. It's like, it's aristocratic.
Yes.
I'm betrothed to the family line shit. And Reese is pretty disgusted with this line of thinking. But I don't really think Az thinks this. Like you just said.
Yeah.
I think he's sad and horned up and he's going through a lot. And he's being stupid and emotional.
We've all said things that we shouldn't have said when you're all heated up or when you're like talking to someone in private. And sometimes things come out.
Yeah.
But like you said, also, Az contains multitudes and we haven't met all the sides of him yet.
Right. And it's not like he's saying, I deserve to like take her body. She also was wanting this.
Yes.
So it's not like she was like, it's not like if Lucian showed up and was like, she's mine, you better give her over. You know, it's like they were both into it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Reese commands Azriel to stay away from Elaine. And Az is like, you can't make me, dad, brother, boss. Snarl all you want.
Reese leaned back in his chair.
But if I see you panting after her again, I'll make you regret it.
Reese had rarely threatened punishment or pulled rank. It stunned Azriel enough that it knocked him from his rage. Reese jerked his chin toward the door.
Get out. Woof.
Ouch.
That's rough.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's wrong. I think that this is reckless. I think that he understands that Az is being reckless, and it's not a matter of,
it's not about the relationship. It's like, you notice, like, he didn't even really, like, it's not even like, you can't do that to Lucian. It's like, think of all that is at stake right now.
And I think that people could already kind of gauge that Cassian and Nesta were mated. And also, they were doing the opposite of fucking each other. They had to work together for the good of the group. And so it's different for him just being like, but I want to put it in her.
He just wants to put it in her.
So,
and he's been lusting. Also, you have to think on top of it, he's also been lusting for more for centuries and hasn't. And like, so it's like he's just a ball of unrequited love.
I mean, I'm sure he's still like coming and stuff. Like he's still having sex.
Oh yeah, but it's like,
but it's just like
it's not the one you want,
right?
Ugh, you're not the one that I want. You're not the one I want. No.
Oh, rude.
Yeah.
So, this is a very tense moment, and Azriel goes out and sulks in the yard of the river house for a while.
I'm not okay.
So, to me, in this moment, I just all I could hear was, focus on the pain.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that's real.
Oh, my God.
Because he's just sitting out in the freezing cold, being like, oh.
He's got the makeup on like he's the crow, you know? And just like, oh, look at him go. Yeah.
So he thinks about how he can't stay at the river house tonight because his need was too strong and he would do something he would regret. That he had stayed away from the river house most of the last year to avoid those feelings, staying far away from Elaine. He decides he'll head up to the training ring at the House of Wind. I actually did that a lot in my most glum emo days. I would work out at like 2 a.m. because I didn't want to be around anybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, similar. I would go to Walmart at 2 o'clock in the morning and just walk around the Walmart and see what kind of weird shit was going down.
Yeah, I would do that. I would go to Planet Fitness, work out at 2 a.m, go to the grocery store and wander just because nobody else was there.
It's just a great time to be awake.
I wish I had wings. Could have flown.
Oh, you and me both.
When he gets there, he's surprised to learn that his shadows didn't warn him that somebody was already there so late on Solstice Eve night.
The young priestess smiled, and Azriel thought it might have been directed at his curious shadows. But she just hooked her coppery brown hair behind an arched ear.
I was trying to cut the ribbon.
She pointed with her sword at the white ribbon, which seemed to glow silver.
That's right, it's Gwen. Gwen, you say? He had a brief memory that in that moment he's looking at her at the the chopping block thing with the ribbon, and he has this memory of that horrible day he found her.
So at odds with the Gwen he saw before him now.
So, he found her in her like the worst moment of her life.
Yeah.
And that is probably a very vulnerable and sort of maybe even embarrassing thing for her, or it's scary to be in the presence of this guy, but she doesn't,
especially alone.
Yeah, and she doesn't seem scared of him at all. But there's been some moments in Silver Flames where you see her staring off at Az, and it's not necessarily like goose eyes. It's sort of just like, this was a big, important person in my life, and I don't know how to act.
And I don't know what to say. Yeah, I don't know what to say to them. There's only so many times you can thank a person for literally saving your life.
Remember when you saved me from that gang assault?
Yeah, you remember that?
Remember that?
Wow, thanks.
Wow. It's pretty
I don't
cool.
think about that every waking moment.
Yeah. But surprisingly, though, in this moment, in this middle of the night, up at the training ring in the freezing cold, they fall into this sort of easy conversation, and that even involves light teasing, because at this point they have been training together for quite a while.
Right.
They ask how each other's solstices were, and then Gwen asks him if he sings.
Because he's a shadow singer.
And it was a question referencing the title Shadow Singer, and I forgot that happened in this. After some confusion in her explanation of why she asked, he says he does sing.
I want to see him sing so desperately.
I mean, it's Gerard Way.
He's Gerard Way!
So I did not remember that he says he sings. I assume that's going to come up at some point. To change the subject.
Oh my God, what if they all go out and do like karaoke? Oh my God, it would be so fun.
Well, it does allude to maybe a bonding between him and Gwen, who also loves to sing.
Yeah.
And they sing a musical together, like West Side Story.
Oh my God, it would be so cute.
To change, but he's like, oh God, I don't want to sing in front of this female. I don't want to do this.
He's like, I gotta do a fight or something.
You want to stab some stuff? So he then takes the attention back to the ribbon. He says, go cut it. And they get into like a pseudo lesson at 2 a.m.
One time goes by. And he's just like showing her how to use the sword. And it's just cold at night. And because like, oh yeah, my hands are all covered in wet mud.
Where'd it come from?
Ghost.
Oh, I know, but I don't know where the mud came from in this.
Yeah, they don't know either.
Oh no. It's poop. It's poop. So she's not cutting the ribbon yet, of course, because we see the scene where she cuts the ribbon.
Yes.
But he gives her some tips in this night scene. They have an easy companionship. And when Gwen makes a joke about Cassian faltering in his coaching skills because he's constantly giving Nesta the eyes, they laugh.
Asriel dipped his head in a sketch of a bow, something restless settling in him. Even his shadows had calmed, as if content to lounge on his shoulders and watch.
This is my favorite part about this bonus chapter, that we're learning about the relationships forming based on how his shadows are reacting. So when you first hear that his shadows leave when Elaine appears, that sounds like a positive, right? Because you're like, oh, the shadows have left. That's right. That represents darkness.
Yeah.
But maybe the shadows aren't a bad thing. And that maybe the shadows resting and like watching
and being calmed
is much more of an intriguing relationship than if they just run away.
The fact that they want to be around, that they want to be involved in their relationship.
And they don't feel like maybe it's like a shame thing that the shadows run, because he feels so ashamed about his hands in front of Elaine, but he never says that in front of her.
Ooh, I didn't even notice that. You're right.
So,
and he doesn't have to feel any like sense of like self-consciousness in front of her.
Because she been through. So I think that's a really fun, interesting way to represent like the different, what are we anticipating here, and these shadows and how they react to the different females. Because obviously most people know Elaine and Gwen are sort of the two main contenders for making love.
Yeah.
So he bids her goodnight shortly after this, after they go through these lessons and they've had this like brief conversation. And he goes and gets a few hours of sleep at the House of Wind because they have the big snowball fight, of course, that day. In the morning, he returns to the river house before dawn, and he finds that the necklace he gave Elaine has been returned to the pile of gifts from last night. She put it back down, which I would too. I would be so embarrassed.
After that, after not getting kissed, after like thinking you're about to get kissed and then just like a fumble
having the
walk
man
away.
stop, like walk away and be like,
and
never
not
mind.
say anything. No, I would die in a hole.
Yeah, I've been kissed rejected a time or two in my life, and it sticks with me.
Yeah,
I remember those moments very well.
I still think about them. Maybe at 3:00 in the morning if I can't sleep. Oh, I'll think about it.
I remember that. That was cool. That happened in the middle of a show. A big concert with all our friends around, and he like the Dirge's head.
Yeah, that's fine. That's something you'll never forget.
That's cool. I don't think about it. So he sees the necklace and he puts it back in his pocket. He thinks on how he's going to bring it back to the shop he purchased it from, but he finds himself instead heading towards the library.
Oh.
He greets Clotho and asks her if she could give the necklace to Gwen, but says he doesn't want her to know it's from him. Clotho presses him on why, and he clams up, saying it doesn't matter if it's a good way. If you want to give it to another priestess or somebody you think will do it, but just I'm not leaving with it. So just whatever you want to do.
Just take it.
Clotho agrees to tell Gwen it's from a friend.
Clotho's pen moved once more.
I think you read.
Okay, great.
Right?
Yeah.
She deserves something as beautiful as this. I thank you for the joy it shall bring to her.
Poor Clotho. I think we've changed her voice like 7 times.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, she's just letters. It's fine. She gets
just
it.
Letters.
She doesn't know we're making the voice different.
I hope not. Clotho, if you're out there.
Sorry, Clotho.
Sorry. So this is another thing I feel like some people are like annoyed with. Like, oh, you're just going to recycle the gift you gave to another.
But it's a beautiful piece.
And I do think that this is not necessarily him just re-gifting it as much as like the necklace meant something to him. He didn't want to just give it back. The thought came to him like, this is him caring about Gwen, wanting Gwen to have a nice thing. It wasn't necessarily being like, maybe this other chick will want to kiss me.
I'll just slap this over here. I feel like it's different than like, oh, I've just got this like old engagement ring lying around. Let me give this to you. You know, it's like after you've gotten a divorce. Like I feel like that's very different than what happened here. This is something that he genuinely picked out. Like when was the last time he chose a present that actually meant something like this?
Yeah.
To this extent. When was the last time he purchased that for a person that like he was lusting for? So like this meant something to him.
Yeah.
And so he didn't just want to just give it to whomever. And he obviously has a connection with Gwen. And I do feel that like he was giving it through lust to Elaine, but he was giving it through connection to Gwen. Like I felt like there was just a very different meaning.
And the feeling of wanting to have her have something nice.
Yes.
And like to feel good about herself, I guess, in a way. And
because I imagine if he thinks that way about his scarred hands and how he feels about himself, that he can connect with her and how I'm sure how she feels about herself.
I wish someone give him a necklace.
Oh my God, I'll give you a necklace, Azrael.
A pearl necklace.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, he says like, don't tell her it's from me, but I think she's going to know.
She's totally going to know.
Also, my thought then became, okay, are they going to address this in the book?
When Elaine sees
when
it
she
on
comes in
Gwen?
wearing the necklace?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's going to happen at some point. You know that's going to happen at some point.
That's awkward.
Because that is the biggest issue with this. Elaine's already seen the necklace.
And then when
that's
she goes,
where it makes it a little, ooh.
And then Elaine goes, why are you wearing my necklace?
Oh my
and
God.
She's like, what do you mean your necklace?
I'm already nervous about that scene.
You really stepped it in this time, Azrael.
Oh, God. Well, I'm excited for it, though.
Well, so he thanks Clotho and he leaves, and something moves in his heart at the thought of Gwen's face, at seeing the gift, and it makes him feel all warm and shit.
But Azrael tucked away the thought, consciously erasing the slight smile it brought to his face, buried the image down deep where it glowed quietly, a thing of secret, lovely beauty.
Okay, well, that sounds like something.
Don't leave me, Natalie, because if you leave, that means we don't have any more of it. Because if you say that it's done, then there's no more of it. And I have to have more of it.
There will be so much more. Thankfully, SJM writes thousands of pages.
Thank God, man. Thank God she is torquing them out. And I can't wait to torque that into my eyes and into my heart.
There'll be so much more. This has been such a pleasure, Jackie. And we, again, are not done. We'll be coming up with announcements, but we are, at the moment, for the moment, at the end of A Court of Thorns and Roses, except kind of not really, because you can read Crescent City, and it may show up again.
Except kind of not really. Don't worry. We're not going that far.
Thousands of pages.
Thousands.